Hello and welcome. Carrie here from Healing Humanity. I've got my new shirt on that Adam made, The Power of a Proper Human Diet. And today I'm thankful, grateful, blessed to welcome Carl, George, Lauren, and Stephanie to the channel. How's it going, guys?
Brilliant.
Very
Thanks,
good.
Eric. Brilliant.
Get these off.
My friends from the UK, it's awesome seeing you all. We're going to have a good chat today. We've got some meetups coming up and got some incredible stories here from Carl, George, Lauren, and Stephanie as well. So we figured we'd share a little bit about those. I see there's a lot of folks in the chat right now. If you have any questions for us, please post your best question with QQQ. If you have questions for Carl, George, Lauren, Stephanie, or myself, feel free. Don't be shy, and we'll take your questions. But maybe we'll do a little introduction, little roundtable. Carl, do you mind starting and maybe just sharing a little bit about yourself and your story?
Yeah, no problem at all. I'm now 59 years old. Through my late 20s, early 30s, I had a constant battle with weight and health issues. I was quite a fit guy in my younger days. I did judo, rugby at quite decent levels. When I stopped doing those events, I carried on eating like I was still performing them. And I obviously, because of that, gained a lot of weight, had a few health issues. It got to the point where when I turned into my 50s, I was told I was pre-diabetic. They wanted me to take statins. I had very high blood pressure. I reached just over 20 stone, which is 282 pounds, 128 kilos. And I knew something had to give and something had to go. So I went looking for a solution. Fortunately, saw the Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan interview that a lot of people refer to. Turned around and said, "Yep, I'm going to give that a crack." And my wife just rolled her eyes. What? Another fad, another diet. And that was just over 2 years ago now. I lost 6.5 stone, or you do it all in pounds, don't you? So it's nearly 70 odd pounds. And I'm fitter now. My blood pressure's normal. I've stopped snoring. I've got rid of all the issues with diabetes. I got so impressed with it. And I come across George on the diet and we got talking. And because I can't believe the sheer change, I decided to study. I'm doing a self-funded PhD around carnivore. So then hopefully I can talk from authority. I've already done the nutritional network qualification for nutritional advice and that, which I did with Professor Noakes, etc. And I really want to spread the word where I can. I'm helping 5 or 6 family members at the moment. I'm helping probably another half dozen people. I'm looking to do something calling the Primal Reset and take it forward as a business opportunity.
That's amazing. Carl, what is it like when you help a friend or family member and they start healing?
Oh, honestly, it's phenomenal. I mean, one of the early interviews I did was with my nephew, James, who was really in a bad way. He had a lot of back issues as well as joint issues, hardly got off sofas and that. And he saw the change in me at a family meeting. He came up and spoke to me about it. He did it. He now's doing this windsurfing, and also his life has totally changed in fitness wise and all that. His sister's now involved in doing it, and I'm hoping to sort of do an interview of her shortly with her improvements. It's honestly, when you see the change in people and they thank you, and it's just from talking about the diet and the lifestyle and all that, it is so rewarding. It's brilliant, and the more people I can help, the better.
I love it. That's awesome. Thank you, Carl. So normally I'd say ladies first, but I know Stephanie wanted to go a little bit later. So maybe George, if you don't mind going next.
Yeah, no problems. My name is George Goodenough. I'm 60 years of age, just turned 60. I live in Bridgewater in Somerset in England. I think a lot of my American friends already know me because I'm spending a lot of time with you guys at the moment. So my story is a classic type 2 diabetes and morbid obesity case. I am basically the mirror image of my great friend Papa Carnivore, who I see is in chat at the moment. I'm his twin from across the water. Started off at 293 pounds with type 2 diabetes. I lost 120 pounds. I'm weighing around 173 on a regular basis now. My type 2 diabetes is which is just into type 2 diabetes. The nurse who gave me my last and final reading, because they're not testing me anymore, said that I was the most spectacular success story that she personally had ever known. So that was quite good. So it's all down to carnivore. I originally didn't know about carnivore when I started 3.5 years ago, but I did know about low carb thanks to a wonderful nurse called Nurse Kathy Moran, who told me that all carbs are sugar. I went away, went low carb, high fat, then went keto, and eventually into carnivore. And here I am, a very enthusiastic carnivore now, to say the least. Enthusiastic to the point where I and somebody else on this panel, as in Steph, we've actually we're just coming to the end of the first ever Dr. Kilt's keto and carnivore coaching training course. So hopefully I will be Coach George in a couple of weeks' time, and then we can take it from there, really. But that's me. I'm just absolutely enthusiastic. I gave up the day job because I have just received a small pension from the army, which can keep me afloat for a few months. So as you know, Kerry, I'm very active at night UK time because I've aligned myself with the US of A. And I'm doing my best now to act as the unofficial, self-appointed UK ambassador to the US of A. And I've made some great friends over there, and we're having a lot of fun together. We really are. So it's great to be here. So right, that's me done. So
I love it,
back to you,
George.
Kerry.
120 pounds is incredible. That's amazing. I
12
love what your
bowling balls.
12 10-pound bowling balls. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. I love how your nurse told you that all carbs are sugar, because I didn't know that either. And a lot of people I've interviewed people that are type 2 diabetic, and they're like, what's wrong with a potato? Right? There's
Yeah.
no sugar in a potato. And you read the recommendation of the American Diabetes Association over here, and they actually promote eating potatoes. And it's so, everything's
Yeah.
so backwards and upside down. But a lot of it's just knowledge. I think a lot of people don't realize that carbohydrates converts in your blood to glucose. Your blood doesn't know the difference if it's from a potato or a candy bar. It all breaks down the same way.
Yeah, exactly right, Kerry, because my initial reaction to her was, what, even the ones that don't taste of sugar? She said yes, and she said what you said, all carbohydrates turn to glucose in your bloodstream. That was the clue that I needed. I went away, did the research. I had 2 prescriptions clutched in my hands. I went home, put them on the kitchen table, did the research, realised I didn't need those prescriptions. I threw them away, never cashed them in. No doctor has spoken to me since, because let's face it, a patient cured is a customer lost, aren't we? So the doctors don't like me, but the nurses do, because they're not the ones who get the money from the pharmaceutical companies. Anyway, I'm not rabbiting on, so back to you, Kerry.
Right. Just one last thing I wanted to say, George, was the 120 pounds is incredible. We were at the gym a while ago. My daughter's doing really well on carnivore. This was a while back, but she was down 60 pounds. And so we took 60 pounds in dumbbells and she lifted them. And it's really incredible when you do that. So I imagine if you did that with 120, try to carry that around again. It's really remarkable when you do it that way.
Yeah, because the Maggie White Challenge, I believe, is a 50-pound bag in each hand. So that would be another 10 pounds on top of those of those 2 bags. So yeah, it's an incredible amount of weight to be carrying around, and my body is just so grateful.
Oh,
yep. Oh, you froze up a little, George. Hopefully you come back. All right. Well, I think Lauren just dropped off. Hopefully Lauren comes back.
yeah.
Stephanie, do you mind sharing your story in the meantime?
Yeah, I would love to. I love that story as well. But I am from the UK as well, and I live in Wales, and I see that Celtic Carnivore is in the chat, and he also lives in Wales. I don't meet many people who also live in Wales and are carnivores. So if you're living in Wales, put a comment in the chat, let me know. Keep in touch. But Celtic Carnivore lives in Snowdonia, which is right in the north of Wales. It's the most beautiful countryside up there with mountains. It's absolutely spectacular. I'm in the south of Wales. I live in the city of Newport, but we are near glorious countryside as well. So my story is like so many people, and like George just mentioned, he lost 120 pounds, a humongous amount of weight. I lost 50 pounds. And for women, it can, I mean, everyone wants to be their best weight, their optimal weight, feel their best. But I think for women, it can come with a lot of mental distress when you're continually overweight, not to mention all of the other health issues that go along with it. And I always felt like I was really, really struggling. And I had tried all of these things. I'd gone vegan, I'd gone vegetarian, I had done nearly every diet out there you can think of, grapefruits, eggs, all sorts, although there was nothing wrong with the eggs. I'd done all sorts, and I was absolutely shocked, gobsmacked, flabbergasted when one day I came across this video by Lisa D, who's a lifestyle video channel, and she's very glamorous in her 50s. And her front cover had like her in the bikini, and then next to it before, and she said she only eats meat, and I just couldn't believe it. But when I heard it, it kind of made sense. And soon after finding out about carnivore, I got a diagnosis of stage 4 ovarian cancer, which doesn't have a great prognosis. And it just made me lean all the way into this, and mainly because of three things. First of all, my intuition said, this is right. But the three sciencey kind of things that made me know that it's true is that one of them is that with the three macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbs, and we only need two of them. Two of them are essential, proteins and fats, and carbs are entirely optional. So I knew that the food pyramid is wrong. And then the second one is, as George said, all carbs are sugar, even the non-sweet ones. And as a side statement to that, we can only tolerate 4 to 6 grams of sugar in our blood at any one time, healthily. And so I knew that a lot of sugar or a lot of carbs is bad. And thirdly, because of my diagnosis of cancer, I knew that cancer loves sugar, and PET scans prove it, because when you have a PET scan, they call it tracer fluid, but what they are actually doing is they inject you with radioactive sugar. And then, of course, all of your active cancer cells take up the sugar at 4 to 9 times the rate of any other cell, and that lights up the cancer cells. And so the doctors know that cancer loves sugar, yet when you go out there and tell people that, they say that you're wrong or that that's not the case. Anyway, so those three reasons, that proteins and fats are essential, carbs aren't, that all carbs are sugar, and that cancer loves sugar, made me know without any doubt at all in my mind, this is the right way. And thank goodness, because to summarize the whole thing, when I started carnivore and I was diagnosed with this stage 4 ovarian cancer, I was sick. I was really, really tired. My life force was basically draining from me, because your energy is your life force. And now on carnivore, I feel so energetic, so marvelous. And I get to just enjoy the experience of being in my body, living my life, and feeling totally happy with who I am. And that was something that was not the case before. So thanks, Kerry. Back over to you.
Oh, that's amazing. I love everything you said there. It's there. Having filmed this documentary and traveling all around, you hear so many stories, and every now and then you hear something where it's like, that just makes things crystal clear. I think someone said that Lee Copus's mom is in the chat. If so, that's incredible. Love your son. We filmed him for our documentary. When we filmed Lee, and he talked about his ileostomy bag and how it would fill up with gas, and it was the vegetables he would eat were in the bag. It's like, that is just so crystal clear. And when you were just talking, Stephanie, about, we know that cancer loves sugar, to the fact that when they do a scan, they give you sugar. That's another one of those things where it's like, this is just crystal clear. How do we have this so backwards? It's really kind of shocking how backwards we have it. But Stephanie, one other question I had for you was, when you were diagnosed, did they ever give you anything in terms of changing your nutrition or metabolic therapy, or did they talk about that with you at all?
Not at all. And my consultant oncologist, my cancer doctor, is such a lovely woman. She wants to help, and she's very understanding of, what I want to do, which is sometimes I don't always want to do the interventions, but she knows, and I know, that if I do every single thing that she tells me, my chance of dying in the next 5 years, on average, according to the statistics with my diagnosis, is 85%. So 85% of people who go through this system using the treatments that are suggested, 85% of them die within 5 years. So we both know, therefore, that whether I do what is prescribed to me or not, my chance of dying is quite high. So that gives me a real sense of freedom to do the things that I feel are the best for my life now. And so I know that right now I'm feeling much better than I ever did. And so whatever happens, in the future, I feel happy with this decision. But to be sure to answer the question, no, we were not told anything about eating. The doctors, she very strictly has to stick to the standard of care. She cannot go off it, even to the point of I asked, could I get my vitamin D tested? That's quite a cheap test. As you know, we have the state system here where the healthcare is free at the point of receipt. And I asked, could I get a vitamin D? They do your bloods every time before you go for your chemo. And she says, no, that's not one of the ones that they are authorized to do. And because in the past my vitamin D is in the healthy range, therefore they can't authorize it from there. I would need to go back to my general practitioner and, ask for the vitamin D. So even simple things are not within the remit if they're not on this standard of care. So I think it's so important for everybody, no matter what your diagnosis, or even if you don't have a diagnosis, to fully take ownership and power of your own treatment and just back yourself up. Even if things don't go how you hoped, even had you gone along the health line, that things may not have gone correctly. So
I absolutely love that advice, Stephanie. I've interviewed several individuals for our documentary. I've been blessed to talk to Professor Seafried and his team. And that's like the best advice I think in the world is you have to be an advocate. You have to take things into your own two hands, because even though the doctors mean well, they don't have the time or the incentive to really dig into your particular type of cancer, your body, your situation, the journey you're on, to really understand it as much as you do. So you really have to do that yourself. I also wanted to just say, I feel like it's incredible that you are living your best life, feeling the best you can. When people argue whether or not cancer loves sugar or whatever, they argue the science of metabolic health and cancer, all of those things. It's hard to argue that if you are feeling the best you possibly can, you're getting incredible sleep, your immune system's stronger, your mood is better. That's typically what I hear from people that are eating carnivore. It's hard to think that that would be bad for fighting any sort of disease, let alone cancer. Like, you're setting your body up as best you possibly can to fight that. So I always like to think about it from that way as well. It's always so remarkable talking to individuals in your situation. We interviewed Anthony Haydick for our documentary. He's like, I have stage 4 cancer right now. I'm the oldest I've ever been. I should be at the worst I've ever felt, but yet I feel better than I have my entire life. I feel like I'm 20 years old. I feel like I'm more energetic now than I've ever been. So it's really a testament to returning to the proper diet and setting your body up for success as best you can. So
I just sorry, I've just received a message from Lauren. There's a bit of a not exactly a crisis at home, but her son has just lost a tooth, literally, as she came on. So she is having to go away to deal with a minor tooth fairy crisis, shall we say. And the other thing I'd like to mention is to Nancy in the chat, because she listened to Stephanie's story and she said Professor Seafried would love to hear that story. But as you can confirm, Kerry, we had a Zoom on the Healing Humanity Live with Professor Seafried the other night, and Stephanie didn't find Seafried her story. and he was very encouraging, especially with your GKI scores, I remember, Steph. So yeah, don't worry, Nancy. Professor Seafried is aware of Stephanie and has given her some pretty good advice. Anyway, that's the two announcements I wanted to make. So back to you, Kerry.
Oh, I love it. Hope everything's okay with Lauren's son. Lauren, we actually filmed for a documentary. She's amazing. She's got an incredible story. So hopefully she'll pop back on later. But if not, more to come from Lauren. In terms of next steps, I wanted to chat a little bit, George. I know you guys, you did the Great British Meetup, and you're doing some more meetups. Here in the US, we've done several Healing Humanity meetups, and it's one of my favorite things in the whole world. And before doing Carnivore, I was very antisocial. I wasn't interested in going into any group gatherings, but I love these meetups. At our meetups, we share stories of healing. I'm thinking the next big one we're doing is not our own, but we're going to be at Hack Your Health in November in Tampa. I just wanted to mention that real quick because there's a big dinner that we have going on there. Let me see if I can find this. It's going to be special. Healing Humanity dinner at Hack Your Health. It's being put on by Meat Stock, but it's after. So November 15th in Tampa. Many of the good doctors and folks you watch on YouTube. Dr. Boz is going to be there. Kelly Hogan's going to be there. Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Ovadia. So hope you guys will join us out there, and hope to see some of you at Hack Your Health. What kind of meetups and events do you guys have going on, George?
Okay, so obviously the Great British Meetup, we had our first one this summer. It was successful enough that we've decided to go and do another one in June of next year. So Saturday the 13th of June next year, we are going back to Sourdown, which is where we had the event this year. Actually, the caterer will be the same person again. Both are booked. It will be happening. And basically, it's now a question of deciding what format everything will take. How many speakers we have? Probably a few more this year, I'd imagine, because we've got one or two people from America who are also interested in coming. So there would be a question of the committee getting together and working out the fine details. There is, we've got a few other things up our sleeve, which I'm going to hand you over to Carl for, really, because one of them is, as I mentioned to you, I'm kind of, I'll just touch on the subject of mini meetups, which is kind of my specialist. So Carnivores making the effort to get together, and you don't have to have a just get in contact with each other, fairly local. And I can tell you two which I've, well, no more than actually, two which I've done recently. I've got a great friend called Ziggy. She is Carnivore Camper. She lives in Weston-super-Mare, which is 17 miles from me. Her husband Steve is a stage 4 liver cancer sufferer. I was told in January 24 that he had 3 months to live. Fortunately, in September of 2025, we met up at a children's at a park, and we were playing together on the children's swings, and he was playing on the roundabout. So this is a man who was given 3 months to live, and 18 months down the line, having gone carnivore, he is now active at the age of 67. Is actively playing, and then we went and had breakfast together afterwards. So that's a simple mini meetup. Last Saturday night, we went to Wales. We crossed the border, across the bridge, and fine Welsh carnivore called Tim, and also another great friend of mine who lives right near Steph called Celia. That's myself, friends who weren't carnivore, but I'm happy to say they very much enjoyed themselves. And Sam, the Irish guy, actually ate a whole Chateaubriand for two to himself, so he's clearly meat based, to say the very least. But it was a fabulous night. I did an article on it on Facebook, like a magazine type article, which I'm keen to do because a lot of people complain, oh, well, we can't go out, and eat anywhere. So if we all go out and start recommending places, because this place was amazing, the 10-ounce rump, which was char grilled, was just absolutely out of this world. It really was. I think Steph would agree, because we all had the 10-ounce rumps apart from Sam, who had the Chateaubriand. So there we go. So yeah, the mini meetup, guys, get out there, meet up. And of course, in the course of our duties, myself and Lauren, who are on the committee for the winter meetup, which is Carla's going to tell. We had to go and visit, and also we had to go and visit the venue. So that was kind of a mini meetup in its own right. And further to that as well, Lauren now has her own business, which is allergy testing. Hey, and guess what? The photograph appeared on the other day. Nikki and Lauren all together having a mini meetup over at Lauren's house. So yeah, get together, folks. Start spreading the word. Start getting the community out there. And I'm going to hand it back to you, Kerry. But I think Carl's going to tell us about the regional meetups and about the possibility of the winter meetup. So looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So I'm working on we're working on one particular, squeezing one in before Christmas, and based around the season's meat. So it's the game meat, the pheasants and deer and all that sort of venison and all that sort of side of it. So we've penciled in or scheduled in a winter meetup on the, believe it or not, the 15th of November, date you might just recognise after your event down in Tampa. And the idea there is we're just really trying to gauge the interest in it. So I'll repost it up and I'll send you the link, Kerry, to bung on here. But we're doing a little bit of a waiting list just to gauge people's if interest in there on the various different meetups we're setting up. And if they can just completely fill that in and do it, we can gauge, and then we can see the viability of it. But the plan is to try and do a winter meetup on November the 15th. Today I was with Lee Copus today over in Kent with a couple that we met at the summer meetup, and they've got a fantastic little venue. It's a working farm that's grass-fed cattle, and they're building up the herd and everything. And I had an absolutely brilliant day with the guys, and we're looking at putting on a meetup. We're planning to do that in July in Kent. We're just making sure, because Brands Hatch, the big racetrack, is nearby, we're making sure we don't pick a weekend that's going to clash with any events there. So once we've got that information, we'll start setting the date and pushing that. But that's going to be good. And Lee's going to be obviously very involved. It's within 6 minutes drive from where Lee lives, so it's a perfect venue for him. So we're looking at do that. I've also been approached about potentially putting one up in Scotland. So again, we want to gauge people's interest, because George was very big about at the summer meetup about community, and what we're discovering is a lot of people in the carnivore community feel isolated. A lot of people love the Sourdown one because they get together. So if we can spread it around the UK, when not everyone can get down to Somerset or get across to Kent, if you know, and George's idea of the mini meetup sort of add to that, because they've got the potential to build to a bigger meetup. We're quite happy to set up the organisation and get it so it's professional, get the speakers, all the various bits and pieces, the food arranged and all that. But it's finding the right venues that fit the bill. But the one in Kent is definitely going to be going ahead as well. But again, once we know the risk of the potential clashes with dates, then we'll be able to announce. So we're hoping then that the main Great British meetup will be on June the 13th. And then obviously we're looking at probably early part of July for the Kent one. So if people are interested in the Kent one, people in London, people in the home counties, it's an ideal location. It's a fabulous little farm. And honestly, and they've even got a calf called Dave. I mean, you've got to come and meet Dave the calf, if nothing else. It's absolutely, although he'll probably be adult by then. Yeah, so we've laid on those, and if you go to either my Facebook or YouTube, there are links there. I'll share with everyone else to do the link. So if anyone wants to register their interest for the winter meetup or some of the other meetups that we're getting scheduled, then it's a 5 questions. Just say, do you want like this? Is this an area you're interested in? Bang. We take your email details, and your phone number. You can unsubscribe at any time you wish. We don't use it for anything else other than informing you about what we're doing on the meetups in the UK.
That's great. And I have that link in the description, and I just posted it in the chat. So everyone check that out. I love what you guys are saying there. One thing I've noticed with the meetups that we've done, we'll have a meetup in kind of a random area, and afterwards, the individuals that attended, they're like, wow, I felt isolated before. I didn't realize there was other like-minded individuals, other carnivores nearby. Oftentimes when we leave that meetup, they have their own little mini meetups, or they'll get dinner together, and it kind of grows that way. It's been kind of a cool benefit of doing some of these meetups that we didn't really realize. So I love the idea of the mini meetups as well. It's just great to hang out with some like-minded individuals. When you're doing carnivore, you're often the odd one out, and it's usually everything is celebrating poor food choices or poor food. So to be able to hang out with some other individuals is always a lot of fun. So good stuff. Well, we have a couple questions here. Let's see. Papa Carnivore, Carrie and I are going to do 1,000 days of carnivore video together to share our stories of healing. Right, Carrie? Yes, that's right. I'm coming up. Let me just see here real quick. George, you're at, or Papa Carnivore, you're at 967 days, you said there. I'm at 920. I've got 80 days to go, and I'll be at 1,000. So, but yes, Papa Carnivore, I look forward to doing that for sure. We have a question from Nancy. Bill Nutt has been quiet. How is he, Carrie? He's doing well. In fact, he was texting me during this live stream. So Bill is doing amazing. And I believe he's got a video coming out maybe tomorrow. But he's doing really well. I think he missed one video, but he's doing good. Let's see. Another question we have here. This question's from my friend Julia. What are your personal favorite ways to fast? Carl, Stephanie, do you guys do any fasting?
Sorry, Steph.
You go ahead, Carl, and then I'll come in.
I do sort of 2 and 3 day fast, but I always like to prime myself first. So I tend to not gorge, but I make sure that I'm well loaded up with the various, plenty of salt, plenty of meat, plenty of fat. And then I find that I naturally fast anyhow for the first 12 to 24 hours quite easily. And then if I tend to cheat a little bit because I have bone broth as well, but obviously that's a liquid rather than an actual meal. And then I find that gets me through quite comfortably 36 to 48 hours.
Love it. And Stephanie, do you do any fasting?
I do. And now is my time to say thank you to Dr. Seafried and thank you to you, Kerry, for the Healing Humanity community, because I got to speak to Dr. Seafried Professor Seafried in the Healing Humanity community. And it's great because we actually got to have a conversation, which I was so excited to have, because he's been it's not just an inspiration, but he has given so many people like me with a serious cancer diagnosis or any cancer diagnosis hope and knowledge that there's something we can do, and actually making it easy of actually what to do. So fasting is so powerful for cancer because it's been proven that fasting does shrink tumors. Now, it can sometimes, if a tumor is very aggressive, or you become very sick and you don't actually have much fat on your body left, people worry about fasting. But for most people and many people with cancer, fasting is one of the most therapeutic things that you can do. When I was beginning in carnivore, because of my history with, calorie restriction and being overweight and then underweight and yo-yoing and all of that, fasting was quite hard for me. And even after I became fat adapted, I would fast. And I remember I decided on my first fast to do a 7-day fast. Not a good idea, people. Not a good idea. The first 3 to 4 days were really easy, easy. I was enjoying it. Felt really good. I felt proud of myself. But the last 3 days were really hard, but I kind of made myself stick with it. And so that gave me a little bit of a resistance to doing another fast. It really put me off, and trauma might be going too far, but I just felt, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, even though I know how good it would be for me. And but what I did do, and what really, really helped me, was doing a fat fast. And what the fat fast did was really mean that I was eating something, but it was getting me into this state of therapeutic ketosis. Now, what Professor Seafried talks about is one of the known ways and to not grow your cancer for everyone. If you're in therapeutic ketosis, my understanding is that it's impossible for your tumor to grow, but you make it much more difficult for your tumor to grow. And for many people in therapeutic ketosis, their tumors will shrink. But it's hard, as people know, to get into therapeutic ketosis. And just following a standard carnivore diet, especially because I used to eat quite a lot, I was not in therapeutic ketosis. I was in a little bit of ketosis sometimes. But on this fat fast, I got into therapeutic ketosis in days, and I didn't feel deprived because I was eating the fat. In fact, I was doing this therapeutic ketosis fat fasting at last October when it was the Healing Humanity Meetup in Essex. So that where I met you, Kerry. And Carl was also there, and George couldn't make it. But I was doing this, and my ketones went up from like 0.5 on a good day to over 5 on the ketones in 3 days. And that put me in a really good place. And from there, I was able to find a way to eat and stay in the GKI, glucose ketone index, under 2, which is your therapeutic ketosis level that Professor Seabury talks about. And your GKI is your blood glucose divided by your ketones. So if your blood glucose, let's keep the numbers round, was 5, then you divide it and your ketones was 2.5, you would have a GKI of 2. And 2 and under is the therapeutic ketosis. So the fat fasting enabled me to get into ketosis quickly without actually fasting. And then to remain there, I was able to eat, as I said, everyone will be different, but I'm able to eat 400 grams of minced beef, which is just under a pound for Americans, and ground meat, I think you call it, and 4 eggs per day. I have it in 2 meals, but you could have it in 1 or 2. But you find the amount that works for you that allows you to stay in therapeutic ketosis, and therefore you can eat and be in therapeutic ketosis. But to finish this off with a nice bow, I've been put with my cancer treatment at the moment. I've had some treatment. My cancer tumors are still there, some of them, but I'm not having treatment at the moment. I won't go into the details about that. But I said to my sister, if it comes back again, I am going to do this fasting. And she said to me the very sensible question, well, why don't you just do the fasting even before it comes back? And I thought, yes. And then we went to see Lauren, who was on the call earlier, who runs Lauren Tucker Testing. And we were trying to test to see what food intolerances we had. We went to Lauren's farm. It was fantastic. We met some of her cows and calves. Anyway, that's beside the point. But when we were there, I think sometimes things happen for a reason, and everything happens for a divine reason. And we went there, and Lauren said, when she asked me for an update on how I was, I gave her the long story. And then she said, well, what about fasting? And obviously my sister and I just discussed it on the way there. And she said, what about dry fasting? And dry fasting, Dr. Eric Berg, who's not a carnivore, but he's keto, he says if he got cancer, he would water fast for 21 days. Well, Lauren explained that with dry fasting, you can dry fast for 1/3 of the time and get the same benefits. So you could do 7 days of dry fasting and get the benefits of a 21-day fast. And I think I was meant to hear that message on that day. Just a few days ago, and Lauren gave me her book about dry fasting. This one here. I am in Mallorca at the moment, sunning myself because it's absolutely freezing in the UK. Let me tell you, it's cold, and I'm here sunning myself in Mallorca. I'm going to read this book about dry fasting, and when we go home, Lauren has offered to do it with me. My sister's going to do it with me. We're going to start with a 3-day fast. Then we're going to do a 5-day and a 7-day. And we're really hopeful that this is going to have major therapeutic benefits for me. And it's going to help me to ease back into actual fasting.
That's incredible. I have a big smile on my face because Lauren told me about the Phoenix Protocol book too, and I read it. And I've done I did an 8-day wet fast, a couple of wet fasts, and then I started dry fasting because of Lauren and that book. And the last one that I did was a 3-day dry fast. I've never felt better. It was incredible. And I'm always careful with this though, because Stephanie, when people hear fasting, they kind of panic. But there's a lot of research on fasting. I always just encourage people, I'm not telling you to fast. I'm not telling you to do anything, but if you're interested and you want to learn more, that book Stephanie held up is incredible. The Phoenix Protocol. And there's been lots of studies on it. I believe there were doctors in Russia that studied this on thousands of people, healing incredible things through dry fasting. I've done all sorts of fasting. I'm only ever going to dry fast going forward. I feel so much better doing it. And I never would have thought that. I just want to touch on one other thing real quick, Stephanie, what you mentioned earlier. Some of this is very interesting. It's almost like discoveries, like learning things. Like a lot of people know about fasting just in general for cancer fasting. But what you're talking about with the fat fasting, I think it's so important because I have talked to several people. They've had success just fasting in general. But then I've talked to others that have struggled with traditional fasting, and an approach like fat fasting has been beneficial to keep their GKI down. Like you said, I had one person I talked to at one point that was regular fasting, but then when he would get done and he'd break the fast, his numbers would go through the roof again. And he was able to find similar, I think, to you, that just through the fat fasting, he was able to just keep it nice and steady, and there was no jumps or anything like that. I feel like a lot of this is a little bit uncharted territory. Professor Seyfried's been talking about fasting forever, but then you get into the nuance of fat fasting or refeeding afterwards, or different ways to do it to keep that number down. I think the most important thing you said, though, that people can take away from this is getting into that therapeutic ketosis is so important. Not just for cancer, too, no matter what you're trying to heal. Depression and mental health is a big part of our documentary. And Dr. Georgia Ede talks about the same thing. If you're suffering from schizophrenia, bipolar, major depression, the best ways to deal with that is not just eating carnivore and eating randomly like chicken breast or whatever. It's getting into that deep therapeutic ketosis by getting more fat. Dr. Ede even says, she says there's 2 dials. There's the protein dial and the fat dial. And a lot of people that need healing need to reduce the protein and increase the fat, or work in fasting into that to get into that therapeutic level of ketosis. The healing that happens when you get into that therapeutic ketosis is incredible, but also just how you feel. Like, I don't know about you, Stephanie, but when I've been in there before, I feel so good. I'm always like, I wish I could just feel like this forever. Just that feeling when you fasted for a couple of days and you're in that deep ketosis is very powerful.
Well, it's more in line with our primal history when you think about it, because we would gorge and eat, and we would go hungry for days on end waiting for the next catch. So it's only natural to our own body cycle.
Yes, that's the argument, Carl, I always make to people too when they think, oh, this fasting's so crazy. And it's like, really? It's not. It's actually what we've done as humans since the start of time. We never had the blessing of being able to just snap our fingers and have food. It would have always been feast or famine. You would have hunted a big animal and you wouldn't have eaten for 3 days, 5 days, maybe a week, maybe 10 days till your next meal. And that's how it's been forever. What we're doing now is the weird thing. Fasting really isn't weird. It's really natural, actually. And there's lots of evidence to the healing that happens in autophagy and cell regeneration and all sorts of stuff when you're fasting. So I'm a big fan of whatever humans have done since the start of time. That's eating meat and fasting. Those are 2 of the best things I think you could do.
Yeah, Kerry, Tertia has just asked a question. She's asking if Steph can explain briefly what a fat fast entails.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen people describe all different ways of doing a fat fast. Somebody replied to Tertia saying basically you just eat fat. Yes. Well, that is the basic, but I'll explain what I did, because I was reasonably early in my carnivore journey when I was doing this, and I didn't like rendered fat. I didn't like eating butter. I was worried. I didn't know how to eat fat. So it sounds obvious, but it's not always obvious to people. What do I actually eat to eat fat only without eating protein? So what I did and what I really enjoyed was I ordered from the butcher beef fat. It came in these packages of about 500 grams, cut into big chunks. I would then put the packet of fat, put a bit of salt and pepper on, put the big packet of fat into the air fryer, put it on for about half an hour on the top number, which was 200 Celsius for us. I know it would be Fahrenheit for you, but for us, it was the top setting on the air fryer. Cook it for half an hour. Maybe you turn them inside, in between, and then they come out crispy. At the beginning, I needed them to be crispy. As time went on, I started to enjoy the taste of the beef fat. So then I didn't have to cook them so much because obviously, when you're cooking the hard fat, so I was talking about the hard fat, like imagine you've cut the fat off the meat. That was what I was buying raw, and then putting it in the air fryer, cooking it, so all the fats are draining off, but you're left with these crispy, hard pieces of fat. So I would eat that. So I would probably be eating in a day about 500 grams worth of fat. Not the you lose some of it that's rendered off. So maybe it's about 250 grams of fat that I'm actually eating, and or maybe less. But what I'm trying to say is I would eat that and it would keep me satiated. And for those who like to have a calorie equivalent, I know that calories are not everything, but for some people they do need to take account of how much energy they're taking in, and it kind of helps them to compare between different things. So I was eating about the same, if not a bit less, than what I would normally eat, but only in the beef fat. But there are lots of other ways to do it. Some people do it with cream, some people do it with butter, some people do it with all sorts of different ways. So whatever feels palatable to you. I also did it for 3 days to start off with. That was enough to get me into that really good state of ketosis. And then after that, I had a smaller amount of what I would normally eat and just kept measuring my ketones. And after a while, I was able to increase it a little bit. And then I saw where my ketones were, because there is a little bit of experimentation to how you, as an unique individual, metabolize your food, and what your ketones are is going to be different to what mine are, eating the exact same food. So there's a little bit of experimentation. A, what fat do I like to eat and could I eat for 3 days? And B, what can I eat afterwards to maintain that therapeutic ketosis? And what I try to say to people when I'm coaching is bring that little bit of playfulness to it, curiosity. You're on this little adventure to find out how your body works. And it can be fun. You can enjoy eating all that fat. You can enjoy eating the food afterwards. You can enjoy doing all the measurements and then seeing the numbers and things. So don't let it be like a stress. Let it be like a little adventure with some challenges, some good bits and some bad bits, but something fun that you're doing for yourself and with yourself.
There's another option you could consider. In Eastern Europeans eat like this pork fat. It's called sallow, but it's a non-rendered pork fat. But they do it like a cured pork fat, and they slice it and they eat it on bread or whatever. But that's a really good source of fat as well. And I think if anyone in the UK goes to one of these Eastern European shops, they normally have sallow. It's SALO, and that's another form of fat that they could use.
All right, good stuff. Bob Eater gifted 5 Homestead Howl memberships. Thank you so much, Bob. Really appreciate that. We have a question from T-Pain Golf. Question: element flavored electrolytes, yes or no? You guys using any electrolytes? I'll just say real quick, I used a little bit of Element when I first started Carnivore. I rarely use electrolytes now. I do from time to time if I'm going to be doing something strenuous. I always just have in my head, like, if I get a headache or muscle cramps, then I'll probably take some electrolytes, and that just really hasn't happened to me. So I don't take anything regularly anymore after being on Carnivore over 2 years. What about you, Carl, George, or Stephanie? You guys doing any electrolytes?
I started using, I took some electrolyte tablets because I was low in magnesium, but I get pretty much everything from bone broth and adding salt to pretty much everything I eat. I even put salt in my water as well sometimes, and I find that solves my issue.
Yeah, same for me. I was getting leg cramps back along. I did flirt with the idea of supplementing with magnesium, But before I did, I simply went overboard on the pink Himalayan salt, which is one which I use, and the leg cramps went away. So I smother everything in salt nowadays, and I even sometimes put it in my coffee as well. I'm sorry, Kerry, I do still do drink coffee. So no, salt has been the answer for me, and I haven't supplemented with a pill form or a powder form since I started. So that's my story.
Yeah, very similar as well. I don't take electrolytes, but you'll know yourself, Kerry, when you're coaching people, what you see is there's so much variety of experience and variety in the way people experience certain things. So some people, absolutely, electrolytes are the way to go. They're experiencing a few things and they like that idea of taking something for it and they feel better when they do. I personally didn't take electrolytes. I did add salt. And one of the things when you go to Lauren for the testing, she also tests your vitamins and your electrolyte minerals, and mine were all good. So that's maybe why I didn't really need to worry about electrolytes. But other people, especially those who are deficient before they go into it, and then they lose further in the crossover of going from a carb-based diet to a keto-based diet, when they lose all that water, lose all that fluids, um, then they're more prone to it and they feel more effects of it. And for them, a quick win can be to take electrolytes, build up their salt over time, and over time, they won't need electrolytes anymore. But it can be a good bridge for people to go across.
That's a valid point, Steph, because sometimes people can drink too much and not realise they're actually diluting their electrolytes by drinking too much. So sometimes everyone thinks, oh, what water's the golden thing? So that's a very valid point.
I did that same thing, Carl. I put an incredible amount of salt on my food to the point that people were worried about me, like watching my YouTube channel. And I had my blood work done, and the only thing that was off was my sodium level was low. And my wife was shocked. I was shocked. And then I realized, no, it's because I've just been drinking a crazy amount of water. I don't know why I was doing that. We're kind of, I don't know if it's like that in the UK, but here in the US, got to have more water. You just got to drink gallons and gallons and gallons of water. And I think it's the bottled water companies that are making billions of dollars selling it are probably part of the reason why we're brainwashed over here to drink more and more. But I reduced the amount of water I've been drinking, and now I'm just fine, just perfectly normal again. So. All right, Carno Mofo said, with another Amazon Prime Day coming up in October, I think it's time for me to finally get a ketone meter. Either blood or breath tests are the best. Right. Can you recommend any particular vendor?
The name that I keep on hearing is Keto Mojo. I don't use them myself, but I know that John the Spina Carnivore teacher has one, and it's a name that I hear time and time again. So that's my only take on it, because I don't measure. But Keto Mojo, I know, is one which a lot of people favour.
Yeah, I've never tested that such. My body tells me what I need to do, and I listen to that.
Yeah, I was going to go with. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Stephanie.
I was measuring and still am, well, from time to time, but I was measuring very closely for quite a while, and I had a keto meter. Mine was separate, and a glucose meter. I can't remember the names. But the exciting thing is, and I believe this is already in America, but it was in Europe, but then it came out of Europe again, and it's coming back soon. And I've been in touch with one of the manufacturers, is a continuous ketones monitor, which I'm very excited about. Have you tried this, Kerry?
I have not. I heard about that, though, and I thought that's incredible if we can get that. I'm not sure if it's here yet or not, but that would be amazing.
Well, it's coming to the UK soon, and I am in touch with them, and they're going to let me know when it's launched here. But that will be something for the quite near future, because my understanding is that they were intending anyway to have it out in the UK before the end of the year. So there's not long till the end of the year. So that's something exciting.
Yeah, that is something that I would opt for sure. Other than that, I have used the Keto Mojo before. So that one's available on Amazon, and that's the one that Professor Seifried has talked about in the past also. All right, let's see. What other questions do we have here? Luis, I want to get a Healing Humanity shirt and merch in the UK. Postage from the US is just too much. Can we make a plan to get one of us supplier status in the UK? I will check into that. That's a great question. There's a lot of awesome carnivores in the UK. Yeah, it'd be great to have some of the shirts over there. We have a new one my buddy Adam just made, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of fun. Every single penny we get for the shirts goes towards our documentary, and it's been a big help, and we're hoping it'll help fund our series that we're going to work on after the documentary. So we'll see what we can do there, Lewis. Thank you.
And just a big shout out to Louise. She was at the Great British Meetup back in the summer, and when I got a bit stressed over things going not exactly my way, she came out and put a strong arm around me. She's called the Strong Carnivoress. She is South African actually, and she's an ambassador for the Noakes Foundation. But she was there when when I got a bit stressed and managed to talk me down. So yeah, thanks very much, Louise. And crikey, yeah, she's organising a Cape Town meetup very shortly. So hope that goes well as well. So big shout out to Louise. Thank you.
All right. Karen has a question. Can eating too much meat and or eggs cause me to not be able to get very into ketosis?
Well, yeah, it can. Everybody has their own ability to metabolize sugar. So, for example, I watch YouTube where a couple both eat the same food. They both have the same gap between when they last eat and when they next eat. Then they watch what happens on their blood glucose monitors, and it's very different. So they have a different ability to metabolize sugar. Well, it's the same way for proteins. And so when you eat meat or eggs, for some people, it can raise their blood sugar more than others. And it can vary your ability to get into ketosis. So, as I was saying earlier, you just need to experiment with what works for you. So, wear a continuous glucose monitor and then regularly check your ketones when you try out different foods to eat, and then see what can work for you to maintain your ketosis. How much meat and eggs can I personally eat, or can you personally eat, to maintain that therapeutic level of ketosis? Just experiment and see what works for you. No one can tell you exactly. We can give you a guideline, maybe what worked for us, and you can test that yourself and see, does that work for you? And then once you've seen that something works for you and you're able to maintain a level of ketosis, you can then try eating a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and see when the ketones begin to dip. And then you have a good idea. Then you don't need to test as much. You can just practice it, because now you know what to do. But there is a little bit of a game to work out exactly what to do, Karen.
Yeah, as Stephanie says, all of us, even the four of us on this, we're totally different bodies that react in different ways. What I found beneficial was following from the Gordon Peterson thing. I went lion to start with, and then I started introducing things back. And once you've done that baseline going lion, and then you can see how you react with different foodstuffs, with different fats or different, dairies and whatever, I find that you will learn yourself how you react with those various things by starting at a baseline like lion and then reintroducing back in. And I think that helps.
All right, good stuff. Just one follow-up. This was a good point from Sandy. Be careful with element flavored if you're diabetic. They have dextrose depending on the flavor. Yeah, when I used element when I first started, I always stuck with the raw. But they do have the flavored ones, which can get tricky. So definitely be cautious of that, especially if you're just starting carnivore new. I know when I started carnivore new, I was highly addicted to anything that tasted sweet or represented sweet or was artificially sweet. So I tried to avoid those things and stick with the raw for that reason also. All right. Well, we're at the end of the hour here. I can't believe it's been an hour already. Carl, George, Stephanie, where can people learn more or follow you if they want to learn more about your story? Do you have anything you want to shout out before we wrap up? And I do have some links in the description as well.
Sorry, George, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on this is we're talking about the UK and the USA getting ever closer. I would like just to pop the idea out there that I went to Wyoming. I visited the USA this year, had a fabulous time. I want to get the idea out there of a bit of carnivore tourism, carnivore holidays. You know, it's when you're planning your holidays for next year. You know, you're going to go to the beach, or if you're from America, come to see us at one of the meetups over here. It sounds like we're going to have quite a few, and also any Brits out there who are thinking, what am I going to do for holiday next year? Well, come with me to Wyoming because I'm going back to Wyoming in August, or you can go to one of the Healing Humanity meetups. Just an alternative to your standard going and lying on the beach, Steph? Which Steph is doing at the moment. But it's just an alternative. Oh, and of course, the other big one as well, just to give a shout out to Lisa Weidman, she organises carnival cruises. So that's another alternative as well. So yeah, let's start getting a bit of interchange between the UK and the USA. Go and meet each other face to face, and yeah, that's my my sort of big hobby horse at the moment. I'm trying to get the UK and the USA ever closer in the carnival community.
I love it.
The only thing I'd like to shout out is obviously, for example, I've been working with Anthony Haydock because he's relaunching his YouTube channel in October to be chemo to carnivore. So I've actually helped him with some of the setup and some of the intro stuff. So if anyone wants any sort of guidance on that, I'm more than happy. I love messing around with AI. I love playing with it. I'm a child, really. But so if anyone wants any help with setting up YouTubes and stuff, I'm more than happy to do. I'm going to help George out with a bit of your relaunch as well.
Yeah, because I'm relaunching on October the 7th because I've got Dr. Kilberry, first ever me hosting an interview. So I've got Carl helping me out, and I've also got Steph trying to teach me desperately how to use StreamYard. I've just discovered what she means when she says right click, and that's a true story, which Steph enjoys telling quite a lot. So yeah, I'm kind of starting from scratch, but when Steph gets back from her gallivanting, hopefully she'll give me a bit of time. And Lainey's coming up and saying she's coming to Wyoming as well. So I didn't realise that because I thought she was going to sit that one out next year. But she's apparently Lainey's coming to Wyoming with us as well. My beloved wife, who So that's going to be great fun. So yeah, come and join us, folks. We'll have some fun over there.
George, don't worry, because the first person I had to help on some technology, when I said move your mouse to the left, they were doing this. And it's only when I saw them on camera, I realised they thought they were moving the mouse like this. They didn't realise they had to keep it on the deck. So you're not that bad, George.
Thank you. Well, at least I'm on here.
Well, George, you've come a long way since what is a right click. So you've got your own, StreamYard, you're on Zoom, you're on YouTube, you're everywhere. And, you and Carl had the idea and you organised the Great British Meetup, and it was a resounding success. And we absolutely can't wait to see anybody, UK carnivores or any carnivores who fly over from other parts of the world, joining us on Saturday, the 13th of June, 2026, for a phenomenal day and lots of meat. So I'm Stephanie Taylor, and I'm at Happy Sexy Health. I have a YouTube channel here. I would love to see you there. So please join me. And if any of you want to talk more, I saw some questions about fat fasting, not fat fasting. Fat fasting. Although carnivore is kind of a fat fast, isn't it?
Yeah, very much.
But I'm at Happy Sexy Health here on YouTube, and on Instagram you can message me or get in touch with me. I'm on Facebook at Happy Sexy Health and Stephanie Taylor. So if you want to get in touch, if you want to follow my adventures, at the moment I'm in Mallorca, sunning myself, as George has said, and feeling amazing. I think one of the things about carnivore is you get more into all aspects of primal living, such as getting the sun, grounding, breathing, and connection with lovely humans such as these, and such of all of you watching, about living better, eating better, being better as humans. And with that, it's over back to you, Kerry.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, George. Thank you, Carl. And I have links in the description below for Stephanie's channel and Carl and George, everything we just chatted there. And before we end it, I just want to say real quick, I second what George said earlier. Get on over to one of these meetups if you can. I've traveled all over the world filming this documentary, and I've said this before, but it's the truth. The UK has been one of my favorite places to go. If I could go on vacation anywhere and take the wife and the family, I'm going to head back to the UK. The history, the architecture, the people there are incredible. Like it was so calm going there. I don't know what you guys feel when you come to the US, but we get bombarded here a lot with TV commercials for pharmaceuticals and fast food, and it was a lot more chill and relaxed, and the people were just amazing in the UK. And what better thing to do than go to an amazing place and then go to a cool meetup too? So I second that. There's a link in the description below for each of their YouTube channels for the winter meetup if you'd like to join that or learn more. And I also have a link for healinghumanity.movie/events where we list all of our meetups we're having here on the US side of things. So check that out if you guys would like. And thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you so much, Carl, George, Stephanie. Really appreciate you all, and have a great day, everyone.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.